So should you buy a 3DS in 2024? It's hard to believe, but the 3DS is over 10 years old. And today I'm gonna go over the console options you have for the 3DS. You have a decent amount of selection from the 2DS all the way up to the new 3DS XL that I have here. I'm gonna go over some of the game options that you have, some of the must-have games on the console. Great library on the 3DS. We'll go over, if you're not a physical collector, we'll go over the modding side of things and how there's a ton of possibilities you have with the modded 3DS. It's unfortunate, but the eShop is closed on the 3DS, and in a couple months here, the online services are gonna be shut down too. But this is gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be everything you need to know about a 3DS before you decide to pick one up. If you've never had a 3DS before, the console options might be a little overwhelming because you have the original 3DS, you have a 2DS, you have a 2DS XL, the new 3DS models, and you might be like, dude, which one is right for me, right? So I think really out of the bunch, I'll go over a couple of them here, but I think out of the bunch, your best options are either the new 3DS XL, it's gonna be the most powerful, still very portable even though it's bigger, or the 2DS because it's more of the budget option for the 3DS line or family of systems. So the first option that we'll go over for the 3DS is the original 3DS. So this is still, in my opinion, a great system. If you can pick it up for the cheap, I say go for it. Sure, you don't have the power of the new 3DS, but if you get a deal for it, I say jump on it. Why not? Next up here, we have the 2DS, which I actually think is a great option. Originally, when this came out, it was kind of the budget system just to get people to jump in and try the 3DS library out. And I think it's the same thing today. I know a lot of people actually prefer the look and the feel, especially in hand, of the 2DS. But yeah, typically these are a little cheaper. If you're not trying to drop the money on a new 3DS XL, then the 2DS might be a good option for you. So right here we have actually the only 3DS I currently have, which is this 3DS XL. And like I said, in my opinion, if I was in the market for a 3DS, I would probably want the 3DS XL, specifically the new Nintendo 3DS XL. And the reason why I say that is the 3DS XL is going to be the most powerful of the 3DS family. There are a few games that are only playable on a new 3DS due to it being a more powerful system. With it being an XL model, you might be like, man, that thing might be too large. It may not be very portable. No, it's still a very portable system. I'll actually have it right next to my Switch so you can see. Just so you guys have a better idea of the size difference between these two systems, here's my Switch and here is the 3DS XL. So the 3DS XL is, in my opinion, definitely more portable, and I don't think you can go wrong with the 3DS XL due to the power increase and it being able to play, technically every 3DS game, while some of the older models can't, even though there's only a select few. And here they are side by side, just so you guys can get a better glance here. Not too small of a console. I think the 3DS XL is honestly just right for a handheld where, hey, it's bulky enough, but it's also portable enough. I love my Switch, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't feel super, super portable like, a PSP, the Vita, or a 3DS. This might be a part that a lot of you just wanted to skip to and you're like, hey dude, what games can I get on this system? If I don't have a 3DS, why would I buy one if I could just spend similar cash and cop a Switch? The 3DS library is great. I mean, I know the first couple of years of its life, 2011, 2012, it wasn't the best, but now that the system's dead and done, I mean, the library is absolutely fantastic. Some physical games that I have, I don't have a ton of physical games for the 3DS, especially since mine is modded, and we'll touch on that later, but Smash 3DS, Smash on the go. Come on, dude, that's a no-brainer. This game is really cheap, by the way, too. You can easily get it for around 15 bucks or less. Another game, Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. Can't go wrong with Luigi's Mansion. This is also another, pretty affordable game if you're into physical collecting. Another game, this is one of my favorite games on the 3DS. I know people don't think it's the best Kirby game in the world, but Kirby Triple Deluxe. Unfortunately, I have the Nintendo Selects version of it, but hey, it's all good. I'm not gonna be super crazy about, I need everything. I can't have any Nintendo Selects titles, but yeah, Kirby Triple Deluxe, one of the best games on the 3DS. In a Kirby game, in my opinion, you can't ask for much more. I love the Kirby series. This is a must-have, and I think it's like probably under 25 bucks. Another one here, I'm a huge Gen 3 Pokemon fan, so Alpha Sapphire. and Omega Ruby were amazing Gen 3 remakes. If you grew up with Gen 3 or you're a Pokemon fan, or maybe you haven't even tried Pokemon before, I think this is a great one to start with if you're gonna be on the 3DS. This is probably gonna be around 40 or 50 bucks, but it's totally worth it. Great story and great replayability in my opinion. Another Pokemon game here. I know the X and Y games don't get a ton of love. I'm about 6 or 7 badges deep in this game and I'm enjoying it. I didn't play the 3DS when it was new and in its prime. I was in high school when the 3DS was kind of in its peak and I didn't have one. So it's been great to go back and explore some games that I missed out on. And last but not least here, we have Ocarina of Time 3D and Majora's Mask. So these are 2 amazing Zelda games that were originally on the Nintendo 64, which I'm sure everybody knows that. But in my opinion, this is the best way other than emulation to play these games. They look prettier, they run better, and it's portable, so you can't really go wrong. So now it's time to talk modding and what you can do with a modded 3DS. I think this is really what makes the 3DS have a ton of value, is being able to mod the system, right? So if you're a person where you're like, hey dude, I'm really not trying to cop these physical games, I don't want to pay the prices, or hey, maybe money's tight. I mean, that's an option too. Not everyone can afford to collect, right? Is when you mod the system, look, dude, you're dropping 140 bucks on a 3DS, maybe if you want something in good condition, right? If you want one of the newer models or beefier models, even less if you want a 2DS, pick up one of these, get a memory card, and load it up with games. You'll have access to every game ever released on the system, which, I mean, it doesn't get better value-wise, right? And I know some people are like, hey, you shouldn't mod a console, it's not right, the developers don't get the money. Well, guess what? The developers don't get the money now regardless because the eShop is closed. So that's why people at this point are choosing to mod their system. I think it's a good option. I've put a ton of games on here from the HShop, as you can see. And if you're even thinking that this averages out to like 20 bucks a game, I mean, that's a ton of money you've already saved. Luckily, Nintendo was smart enough to just let you use a micro SD card like you have here. This one's only 32 gigs, but on my 3DS, I have 128, which is more than enough. I mean, you'll never really have to worry about running out of memory, but this is where Nintendo definitely did the right move. The Vita, which was the 3DS competitor at the time, had used proprietary memory cards, which had really screwed that system. So you can order one of these, 128 gigs on Amazon for like 10, 15 bucks, and just absolutely load it up with games. I already showcased the options that you have for systems earlier, but I think for most people, the best choice is gonna be the new 3DS XL. I know these are the pricier of the bunch. Got to shell out some dough to pick one of these up. I mean, especially for their age, it's crazy how expensive 3DSs have gotten. I think all around, this is your best option. If you want to go with something a little more budget friendly or a little cheaper, just to like, hey, I want to jump into the 3DS family of systems, try it out, see if I like it, see if it's for me, then go the 2DS route. The 2DS route's cool. I had a 2DS for a little bit back in like 2017. It's not the most premium feeling, you know, handheld or device in the world, but Nintendo is never known for making like the most premium consoles or systems in the world, and that's fine. It's portable, you can bring it around. It's still, I would say roughly, I mean, it's still a little smaller than this, even though it's not a clamshell design, but 2DSs are great. They're a little cheaper. They can play like 95, 99% practically of the 3DS library, except those ones that do require a new 3DS. But yeah, those for your options. I think either go 3DS XL or 2DS. 3DS XL if you're wanting to, you know, ball out a bit and get something a little more powerful. But hey, if you want to keep it budget friendly, I'm all about not spending tons of money on video games, even though I do like to collect. And yeah, nothing wrong with going the cheaper route. I do it all the time. That's going to do it for today's video, guys. Hope you liked it. I think the 3DS, you know, even in the current year, with being over 10 years old, I think it's still a great option for handheld gaming or for just hanging out at home and, you know, chilling. Someone's watching TV, pick up the 3DS and start playing it. One situation I want to throw out there is, let's say, hey, you have $200, you don't have a Switch, you don't have a 3DS, and you're like, hey, should I spend 200 bucks and get the newer Nintendo system, which would be like a Switch Lite or a used one, maybe a small bundle, or should you get a new 3DS XL, for example, with a memory card and mod it? Now, if I only had $200 and I wasn't dying to play the newer Nintendo stuff, I would probably go the more frugal route, get the 3DS XL, mod it, or you could still collect games on it for somewhat cheap since the games aren't getting crazy expensive yet. But that's just my thing. Like I said, I'm not some person or collector who's like, oh, I'm dropping thousands of dollars and I need to have all of these Game Boy games and DS games CIB and sealed and graded. Every collector is different. Every person who games is different. But if you're on a budget, I think the 3DS actually might make a little more sense because most Switch games are still really expensive too. It's very hard to get them on sale. But yeah, I think the 3DS is still a great value. All right, guys, so that's gonna do it for today's video. Hope you liked it. I think the 3DS is still an amazing system. I love it, play it all the time. Let me know what you think of the 3DS. Do you think it's worth getting in 2024? Do you think it's a waste of money? Do you collect for the 3DS? And another thing I'm curious about too is, where do you see the market of 3DS games going? With the eShop closing down, it's probably gonna spike the games. You know how it is, resellers hop in there and start buying everything up and selling it. But I think some of the more common games, kind of like I have and that I showed, are gonna remain somewhat affordable. But yeah, as usual, appreciate you guys watching the video and we'll catch you soon with another upload.